Yo, what's up? Um, I kind of want to make a quick video because I'm sitting outside and it's a nice day out. You know, like when it's warm, but it's also a little cloudy and it's just peaceful outside, like kind of quiet before the storm. That's what it's like today. So yeah, I want to talk about um, like being alone, and I think commonly it's mistaken with loneliness, and this might be like you might see part of me outside and part of me at my desk, depending on how I want to edit this and put it together. Um, but yeah, I wanted to kind of talk on that because I feel like it's something that is mistaken by a lot of people, but is also like important to understand and important to know that sometimes that's better than always being around people or having people in your life all the time, you know? Um, and there's something to be said about the fact that we are social creatures, that interaction is important. Of course, I agree with that. If you're 100% of the time locked up in your bedroom, or you just go to school and come back, like, maybe that's not a healthy way to live. But also spending a majority of your time, like 90% of it, not interacting with humans can be really insightful depending on, the kind of person you are. Me, I'm a person who needed to learn to be alone. And you might be that person too. Some people can't stand being alone. I've been there. It's a crazy feeling. It's like that. It's like that feeling like you're so worried and so stressed out and you feel like this like existential dread and you can't do anything about it in the moment. It's a weird feeling and you're just like, whoa, where the fuck do I go? Like you're just like in this like sort of like delirium. And it can feel really inescapable. But a thing my therapist always told me, right? My therapist always told me that the only way you can get over things is to face them. People always say like face your fears and shit. I know it sounds corny, but if you take it in the most, sorry, the wind's probably gonna be blowing. If you take it in the most literal sense, like it's probably one of the best things you can do. No matter if you're dealing with phobias or whatever. Specifically with, learning how to comfort yourself and spend time with yourself. So, and you might be worried about, maybe you're at an age where all the people around you or all of the people that in your age or whatever are, have big groups of friends, are committed in a relationship, have really tight friends, and maybe you don't have that, right? I think we all have, either or, and if you don't, it's fine, it's not the end of the world. There's what, like 8 billion people on the planet? Dude, this fucking wind is gonna kill me. Hopefully this isn't bad because I'll have to re-record it. But yeah, like there's something like 8 billion people or some shit. I don't fucking know. So I think it's statistically impossible for you not to find your people. All right. So just think about it that way. As long as you're always developing yourself and always finding ways to enjoy your life, that thing will come to you. Now, if you're always miserable and you can't ever lift your head up, maybe it won't. But even then, it's highly unlikely that it won't, We always hear those times like, oh, I was at my lowest when I met this person, they saved my life, and now been together for 20 years, or now they're one of my best friends I've ever had. That kind of thing happens a lot. So no matter what your situation is, it's never too late, and it's never going to end. No matter your age. I'm 19, okay? And I'm just gonna be blunt because I like to be honest on here. I didn't choose to go to school. I finished high school, got my diploma, I had a good time, I was involved in a lot of activities, and time came and I didn't want to decide. I was like, it's not in my best interest to go. I didn't like school, and my grades weren't very good. I couldn't keep up, because of how I was feeling emotionally and mentally. And that's not an excuse, I could have studied harder. I could have worked harder, that's for sure. But, I wasn't super hard with myself. And I decided to, hey, you know what? I don't like school, so I'm not going to go. Didn't go. I kind of went straight into the workforce. I don't want to go into details about that, but I'm happy where I'm at now. But just to give you, my personal situation, maybe you can relate. It was hard. Seeing all the people you go to school with and all the people that are like quote unquote friends, go off and, party every weekend, have big groups of friends, socialize every day, kind of have a routine. It can feel like the only option is to like, off yourself, or like, how is this shit gonna work? Like, it's never going to happen. Dude, that shit is fucking, that air heater thing. Anyways, so for me, I had to kind of like dig deep, and I was like, what is happening? Like, why do I feel this way? And my situation is sort of unique in the sense that I was kind of raised in a way where, I wasn't able to have people come over to my house all the time or sleep over at people's houses. I wasn't a very, I had strict parents, to an extent. And so I just kind of grew up that way, but I never really learned to be alone. And maybe, you could crack it down to like an attention thing. But in that pursuit, I kind of longed for attention and to cling to somebody, and I found that in my relationships, and it never worked out, and I wouldn't say that's the sole cause of something like that to end, because there's other factors, but it definitely played a big one. And when you're out of high school and you lose someone who is like kind of keeping you in check, not in check, I don't want to use that word, I don't want to give that much, but like who you still had a connection through to other people, it can, and you lose everyone like that, as soon as that thing ends, everyone's gone. It's a crazy feeling. Like, I feel like that's not a super unique situation, but it was definitely unique for me. So, oh my goodness, I think my fucking phone's, yo, chill. Let me know how the weather was where you're at. There's my doggo. Yeah, and just like, imagine that, right? Imagine you have a circle of people who you're like, okay, I want these people to stick around and I'm having a good time, and then all of a sudden, and I knew what was happening within me, right? In this situation, like, I knew what was happening. I knew what I had to deal with, but I was just very, scared to face it. And that was being alone. And in that, you kind of learn in that, it's like, whoa, like, what was I doing? Like, this is not what I wanted at all. Because you're so scared to be alone, you'll literally take any chance not to be, even if it's sacrificing your character and your wants and needs and your desires. You make some big fucking sacrifices because you're so scared of yourself. You're not scared of anyone more than you're scared of yourself. And I'm a firm believer of that. There's no one. If you're not scared of yourself, you can't be scared of anyone else. That's just how it is. If you're not scared of yourself, you're not going to have social anxiety. You are literally the key to your existence. That's like profound, bro. That's like some crazy ass pondering right there. And I like to take those like little moments of silence, not only because I don't like to edit, but I want you to just kind of like take in, the clouds, take in my face, take in like what I'm talking about. because I'm trying to talk to you like someone's sitting across from me that actually wants to listen to me, you know? That's why I made this channel, so people could listen to me talk. And so I could feel, you know, kind of like heard at times, and so you can feel heard. Yo, this fucking wind is gonna piss me off. But yeah, dude, you have to learn to be alone, man. Find your hobbies, find your niche, find the things that you really like, you know, and do them. Being in, and I can vouch for this, being in a situation with something that you don't like, whether it's a person or an environment, will literally stop you from doing those things. And you can't blame anyone for that, you know, but yourself. Some people get out of that loop and some people stay for the rest of their lives. And you don't have to stay for the rest of your life. Just know that. So yeah, I don't really want to get LARP. So inshallah, 2026 is gonna be good. Peace out. Hopefully this audio is not fucked up from the wind and shit. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about that. Like, you know, having to be alone and stuff. I honestly, like, I've never loved myself more, you know. And it doesn't come from a narcissistic standpoint. It comes from a place of like, wow, like I genuinely love this person, you know. Like you're literally obsessed with yourself, and not in like a, oh my God, like go, blah, blah, blah. But like in a way where you're like, dude, like I genuinely appreciate my existence. And you feel like you can add something to the planet. You know, I kind of got to that point, and then I made this channel. I was like, you know what? I feel like I can add something from my experiences, and only more to come. So yeah, peace out. Being alone isn't bad.